This is the JFJ Conspiracy, where the shop talk is rock.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Frank.
And I'm Jerry.
And this is the JFJ Conspiracy Podcast, where the shop talk is rock. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Doing
Wonderful.
great.
It's good to hear. We're going to start tonight's show a little bit of a somber note. As you know, yesterday, St. Patrick's Day, we lost a pioneer in the rock and roll world.
Good way to put it.
Yeah, very good.
A whole genre of music was dedicated and created by one Dick Dale. And sorry to say, he passed away. And it's also Bernie Torme. After a long illness with pneumonia, he passed away. Bernie was, as Jim and I were talking, very instrumental in kickstarting Ozzy's solo career. And I didn't know, because I didn't follow back then a lot of, there was no Wikipedia, in the 80s. But, he played with Ian Gillan an awful lot also.
Yes.
So
Did like 4 albums with Ian.
My gosh.
Well,
And jumped in when Randy Rhoads died. He jumped in and filled in for a couple weeks.
right.
Before I think Brad Gillis.
Brad Gillis, yeah.
Yeah, I think Ozzy wanted him to complete the tour, but it just wasn't in the cards. And then I actually saw the Brad Gillis tour at Irvine Meadows.
Really?
Yeah, and good show. Brad did a great job. Wasn't the same without Randy, of course, but
No.
But anyways, what I'd like to do, guys, is I would like to have a toast to those two great musicians, and we'll see which direction this show goes after this.
Oh, yeah. There you go. To the head.
Yes, but
not
to you,
gonna matter
Dick Dale and Bernie Torme.
Here we go.
There you go. Yowza.
That'll take care of that cold.
Well, there is hair popping out of my chest as we speak.
Oh, boy.
Yes. Well, this week we've got 3 bands to present. Very different than other shows we've had, because Jim, you've got somebody who's very established in the rock and roll world.
Yes.
I've got a band of some 80s pioneers coming together and creating a exciting new band. And Jerry, you've got a band from the Los Angeles area.
Rock and rollers.
Rock and rollers. And why don't we jump right in and talk about them, Jerry?
Okay, the band is called the Revies, Revies. They were formed in Monterrey, Mexico, folks, out in Conspiracy Land. Monterrey, Mexico in 2007. They based themselves in LA since 2015. We've got Etienne Rosas on rhythm, guitar, and vocals. We've got Carlos Rosas on bass and keyboard. And we've got James Syme on drums. And their bio kind of kicks into classic rock and rockabilly, Zeppelin-style riffs, Latin rhythms here and there. These guys are just rock and rollers. Their first album got some EPs that came out in 2011 through the 9. They have an album called Viandante, which is recorded entirely in Spanish.
All right.
I love it. I love it because they can rock. They got Calico in 2016, and then they have a new album out called Heart Woken. And I believe that's the tune you're going to play. I mean, the first tune off that album, Frank, Sunset or Sweet Surrender.
Sweet Surrender.
Yes. And guys, they're on YouTube, Spotify. I found them on Bandcamp via Frank.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, he got back to us and wrote us. Unfortunately, we missed some tour dates. They were just doing it in February and stuff in January, so doggone it. But I have them on the notification list to hit me up if they're coming out. They played the Grove recently, Chicago. But they're just it's well recorded, great guitar, great bass, great drums, great vocals, great harmonies. And they just, it's a good time to be alive, folks, because you think to yourself, well, there's no good music, there's no new stuff. Yes, there is. It's all over the place. They're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. They got some shows on YouTube recorded. And again, the Revies, Revies, and they just rock. They rock. I like them.
All right.
I like them. Oh yeah, I like them.
I think Jerry likes them, so
I think I like them.
let's give Sweet Surrender a listen, shall we?
Oh, good stuff.
Six, I must be loving the pain. But lucky number 7 might be my win. Oh yeah. When everybody's trying to get some respect, I'd be content with just minimal regret. May not be much, but I'll take all I can get. All I can get. All I can get. You know you got my attention. I'm feeling the pressure. I declare my sweet surrender.
Then that is Sweet Surrender from the Revies.
Good stuff.
What do you think, Jim?
I enjoyed that, especially when the chorus kicks in. Just kind of thing that makes you want to just pump your fist in the air and kind of little head banging thing going on. Great motivational tune, I think.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff. They are based out of LA, you say?
Yes, since 2015. Yes,
since 2015.
Yep.
Yeah, when I was going through Bandcamp, I saw them, and initially when I heard the opening portion of the song, I thought, no, I'm not going to like this.
Right.
And then it kicks in once the singer starts singing. Yeah, I'm like Jim. I was kind of doing a little head banging there, and it just took off from there for me. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, it's pretty darn good, and they have some acoustic songs on that album. I like Heart Woke, the song itself. It's like the third or fourth track. That thing really lights it up, folks, if you want to get the album. Yeah, Heart Woke by the Revies. Yes.
By the Revies.
Yeah, well done, and I really like the vocals on that.
Good. Yeah. Everything's clean,
great,
Jim.
Great voice.
It's beautiful stuff, yes.
Well sound.
It's funny is we've had some bands on here where the music starts off so good, and then the vocals kick in, and you're like,
What happened?
And not necessarily a bad vocalist, but a bad recording of the vocalist.
Exactly.
And this tune here, the singer fits right in with the music. Yeah. Very well produced. I like that.
Yes.
All right. That's the Revies.
Yes.
Cool. Well, yeah. Anything else there, Jerry?
No, that's it.
That's it? Okay.
That's it.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and present my band. You guys know me. I'm a fan of LA Guns. I like the 80s sleaze rock, that whole vibe and everything. And,
as do I.
Yep. And I was searching for bands and came across the Brutalists. And this is a band that is put together by a founding member of LA Guns, Mick Cripps, and also a founding member of the London Choir Boys, Nigel Mogg. Yeah.
Wow.
And they are currently in L.A. They've been playing. They play the club scene and everything. They're going across the pond over there. They've got an album coming out. It's their debut album. They're actually on Cleopatra Records, so I want to give a shout out to Tim Yazul of Cleopatra Records for allowing us to play them tonight.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And their bio says they are bluesy pub rock, street punk, and synthesized post-punk sound. And the song I'm going to play for you, it's a little different than the rest of the album, but it's got the main elements. You get an idea what they're all about. But the band itself is Mick on guitars and keyboards and vocals. Nigel Mogg, like I said, he is the vocalist of the band. Kent Holmes on guitars and keyboards, vocals. Robert Cripps on bass. And Charlie Nice on drums and percussion. And the song I'm going to play for you is called Form and Function. And let's give it a listen. All right, that is the Brutalists with Form and Function. A little different sounding.
Yes.
And yet a throwback also.
Way back.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Look at Jim.
I like it.
He's like, you picked that, Frank?
Yeah, I'm a little amazed by a couple things. Number one, I was a little thrown off guard when you said Nigel Mogg singing and not playing bass, because Nigel's a bass player.
Right.
And as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking like 80s new wave dance tune.
I was thinking dance when it first started. Yeah. Love the keyboard.
Yeah, when I was like
the background.
Yeah, just out of high school, there was a little club in San Dimas called the Expose. And they played kind of all the sort of 80s kind of K-rocky new wave songs. And I was thinking like, man, this would have fit right in.
Yeah.
You know, right between Melt With You and some kind of English beat tune or something.
English beat.
I'm really surprised by this. I liked it though.
I was drawn to it by, Mick Cripps, the whole LA Guns history. And
right. Now he's not with LA Guns, right?
No, he hasn't been with them for quite a while. I think he's jumped in and out. That's a band that's had over 50 members in their history.
Oh,
at one point,
gosh, wow.
And depending on what town you're in and which version of LA Guns, but that's another story.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about like, hey, I wonder whatever happened to Mick Cripps, and then now I know.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, there you go.
Yeah, they are getting ready to go to London and hit the scene over there, and don't know what the music scene is like in England. Maybe someone who's watching this could throw some comments down and let us know. But this sounds like dance music, and I was expecting more rock and roll, but the album that's out there they've got 10 songs on the CD, and they printed 300 LPs, vinyl LPs that have a silkscreen jacket if you buy the album.
Oh wow!
So it's fairly rare, and I'm thinking about picking that up.
That's
thinking
cool.
he's going to get it, Jim. You and I both know it.
I know.
I'll present that.
Just say you're gonna get one.
Yeah, nice try, Frank.
I'm just thinking about it right now because I'm doing this podcast right now.
So let me ask you, do you just go straight to the Cleopatra website and order that?
You can, or you can also get it off of Bandcamp. They're
I
offering.
mean, as far as getting the LP, either one.
They're selling it both on Bandcamp and Cleopatra Records itself. So
cool.
Anytime somebody says limited edition, I'm kind of a sucker. But now these guys could fizzle out tomorrow and then make another band, and one of those 300 albums could be,
You'd have it.
Oh yeah. So take it any way you want it. But that is the Brutalists. Check them out.
I liked it. Yeah.
All right, Jim. What do you have for us this week?
Okay, so this week I have somebody who has been playing music since she was 14 years old. Yeah. Like Frank said, somebody who's long established in the business, and that is Suzi Quatro.
Suzi Quatro.
Ooh,
Tuscadero.
Suzi Quatro.
Yeah, and most people our age would probably know her as Leather Tuscadero.
Oh, wow, Jim.
Interesting career. She really was huge in England.
Mm-hmm.
And other than her hit here, Stumbling In.
Jerry's favorite song.
Never really, I like Stumbling In. That's all right. Not the best song on the album, but I think that same album had a really great version of Tom Petty's Breakdown on it.
Mm-hmm.
You mean Frank's one of Frank's favorite artists? Tom
One of
Petty?
my favorite artists.
Yes. So kind of got discovered late 60s, flew to England in 71.
Wow.
Hooked up with Mike Chapman and Nicky Chin, same guys who kind of drove the
Chapman did the Knack, right?
Sweet Bus. Yeah, he's done a gazillion people, right? But so when I think of her, I think of stuff like Devilgate Drive, 48 Crash, Can the Can. Right. I don't necessarily think of Stumbling In. She did a great version of Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. But had a very long and storied career, and but now has a brand new album coming out.
Wow.
New album's called No Control, and the song we're going to listen to is the first single from that, and it's called Macho Man.
All right.
So let's take a listen.
Before I play this, Jim.
Yes.
Can you know the history of Suzi Quatro fairly well. Do you know of any crossings and interactions between her and Joan Jett musically?
Oh, yeah. Well, interactions. So Suzi was touring here, and she talks about it, I think, in, I'm trying to think if it was in Edge Play, maybe that documentary, Runaways documentary. Mm-hmm. So all the bands that were coming through LA at the time used to stay at the Sunset Hyatt. And so a lot of people would go down there looking to meet, Pete Zeppelin stayed there, and a lot of the bands. And she talks about Joan Jett. The first time she ever saw Joan was in the lobby of the Hyatt, and she was kind of waiting there. She said she never approached me. She was, but it was like the weirdest thing. It was like looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
She had my haircut. She was wearing a leather jacket, the whole 9 yards, and wow. She was a little afraid.
Mm-hmm.
She thought she was like a stalker or something. Yeah, they've crossed paths lots of times, and I don't know if I can't recall if they've ever done any collaborations off the top of my head. But they're friends. They know each other, and there was a great interview that Rodney did on K-Rock. He had them both in the studio, and Joan talked about her love for Suzi, and
that's cool.
I think she liked what the Runaways did, and is a fan of Joan. So.
Well, the reason I ask is I know as a youngster, when you buy Cream, Circus, even Rolling Stone, if you don't read, you just thumbing through pictures, and you could interchange either one of those at any given time because they look so similar.
Yeah.
Good point. I never even thought about it.
Yeah.
So she was a huge Suzi Quatro fan, and kind of a little side note. So when Cherie Currie came to the Runaways to audition for the Runaways, they told her, "Oh, just learn any Suzi Quatro song and show up. We know them all."
Right.
And Cherie picked a ballad.
Yeah.
And so when she showed up to rehearse, they said, "So what do you want to play? You want to play Can the Can? You want to do this? 48 Crash, you want to do one of those?" And I don't even remember what the title was of the song she picked, and they're all looking at her like, "Well, that's a ballad."
Yeah. I don't
you said learn any Suzi Quatro song. and consequently, so Joan and Kim Fowley basically wrote Cherry Bomb on the spot,
right,
for Cherie Currie to sing.
Wow.
That's cool.
And taught it to her, and that was her sort of song she auditioned with, was Cherry Bomb.
Son of a gun.
Good stuff, Jim. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's give Suzi Quatro a listen with Macho Man.
You don't get it, you can't hear it, you don't mean it. Down where the feelings go, you can't share it, you don't care it, you won't wear it. Down where the feelings go, down where the feelings go, down where the feelings go. Wow, macho man, you won't play the game. Macho man, you got yourself to blame. So take your ego trip and slide away. Macho man, you can't let it show.
All right. Well, there's Macho Man by Suzi Quatro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a couple
Suzi
notches above Stumbling In, right?
Well, no, way above it. And if you would have, I mean, that was, 40 years ago? I mean,
Well, she definitely sounds much more mature with her vocals now.
Yes.
Yeah, voice sounds very different than kind of what I'm used to.
Too,
but
Jim. Yeah.
The song itself sounds like a Suzi Quatro song.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't think the production sounds dated, even with the wah guitar and everything.
No.
I think
I like
it sounds
the solo.
fairly modern.
Yeah.
That's good boogie rock and roll. There you go.
Yeah. Good
Kind of
stuff.
her specialty right there.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And I
Good
couldn't
stuff,
help but
Jim.
close my eyes and think of leather Tuscadero while she was playing that, anyways. And
You-
her hair
you too,
bopping
Frank?
in her leather jacket.
with Joni in the back doing
Oh
the
yeah,
little-
Oh, Scott Baio on guitar. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's good. I
Oh,
hope.
so
Wow.
when I first heard about this record coming out, so it actually comes out the 29th. It'll be available March 29th.
Mhm.
But in all the I don't even know where I saw it. Google, Blabbermouth, all the little rock and roll
Sure.
websites are all have kind of the same little blurb. Let's say the Queen of Rock and Roll, Suzi Quatro.
Right.
And I think that's a term that gets kind of thrown around a little too easy. And you hear it applied to Janis Joplin. You hear it applied to the Wilson sisters, maybe.
I was going to
Wilson,
say Ann
yeah.
Wilson to me.
You hear it
Yeah.
applied to Joan
Oh, yeah.
Jett, Lita
Yeah.
Ford,
Sure.
blah blah blah. So I think it's kind of overused.
Mm-hmm.
I would like anybody out there in conspiracy land leave a comment down below. Who do you think is the Queen of Rock?
Queen of Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
We know who the Queen of Soul is, everybody. We know
I
who
think
that is.
I think you can make an argument for
What?
Suzi Quatro because very influential and been doing it forever. She's 70-something years old now. And,
Oh my gosh, you don't think about that either. You just think about leather Tuscadero, right, Frank?
Well,
still-
yeah.
still
Anytime,
think so.
anytime any of these rockers come back into the spotlight, in my universe, anyways, I always remember them how I last saw them, like
course,
anybody
yeah.
else. And here I'm thinking she's 22 years old,
Right.
and
Right.
40, 50 years later, this is
Rocking on Happy Days.
right. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's how it is, though. Time
Wow.
keeps on
Yeah.
moving.
They're all getting older. Yeah. My gosh.
And what's the name of the album?
No Control.
No Control by Suzi Quatro. Check it out.
That's not Macho Man's first single off the album.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I immediately thought of Randy Savage when I saw that.
Oh yeah, Frank and Jimmy. It's rock and roll. Yeah.
As long as
Sorry.
we're doing thank yous, thank you to Suzi's management for providing the tune for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It helps a lot. Thank you.
Hey, before we move on to Jim's pick, I just want to say if you're out there and you're listening to our podcast, you're watching it, like it on YouTube, share it on YouTube, like us on Facebook, share. I'm just thinking that if
It's not going to kill
everybody,
you, folks. Yeah.
it doesn't happen very
Subscribe.
often that I think, yeah. But
Well,
If-
well, you said it, Frank. Jim and I.
if everybody's out there liking our podcast or our Facebook page and they share it, and the limits are just out of control, but yet people are listening. Some like it. They don't smash the like button.
Smash the like
They
button.
don't give us
Smash
feedback.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Share.
So
Ring that notification bell.
Yeah, do your due diligence. It's your fiduciary duty to like and share and keep the podcast going. Because, without the fans, it's just three guys talking, and we can go have lunch and do that anytime.
Yep.
And we're trying to share some of our good times with you people. So keep it going.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so let me move the soapbox over, step down, and let's talk about Jim's pick.
Back in Black, AC/DC.
Oh my! It's funny when we pick albums. 9 times out of 10, I can pick them apart with the best of them because I just, I'm very choosy about what I like, and I was cussing you out since the last episode, Jim. Because I'm like,
Because I picked such a stellar freaking album.
yes, you did. Yes, you did.
One of the top sellers of all times. That's
Unbelievable.
all you got to know.
When I said what album we were going to do for this time, Frank was a little tough to read. And so
He always
I was
is,
like,
Jim. That's why you just say it.
Yeah.
We'll worry about him later.
it was kind of, I couldn't tell if he was like, I don't have to revisit this, or thank goodness it's something I love. It was a little
Yeah.
tough to tell.
I came out in what, 1980.
1980.
July.
I think
Summer
I've
after
probably
our junior year.
I
Yep.
probably listened to it once a month since 1980, easily. I've
Wow.
had it in every format. Bought the album, had the raised AC/DC in the black. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Right, that was cool.
Had it in cassette so that I could listen to it in my car.
Yeah.
Bought the CD, and I was disappointed that the letters weren't raised on the CD cover.
Oh,
It's just a flat CD.
Yeah. They got it's got to play in the machine. So
Downloaded on iTunes, so it's on my phone. My favorite song on that album is "Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution."
yeah,
It's just to me, that's just
That's
a
a
song
good tune.
just telling a cool story. There's not a song on there that I dislike. There's not one that I fast forward or say, I've had enough of this one. But when you think about that album and how many of those songs are played in football stadiums, hockey
Everywhere.
arenas, everywhere, that some of the catchiest guitar riffs of our time are on one album.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And same thing. So they released 4 singles off of the album. You Shook Me All Night Long being the first one.
yep.
And I will say right now, my favorite song on the album, one of those songs that I never, ever tire of hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Then Hell's Bells, then Back in Black, and then Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution was the final single off that album. Same thing. At that time, though, AOR radio, you would hear any track off this album at any time on the radio.
Yep.
They didn't stick to the singles. It's that deep and that just sonically great record,
Yes.
but every song is just beautifully written and beautifally produced.
Shoot the Thrill's my favorite, guys. I just when they break it down and get quiet with the drums.
Mhm.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm
Frank.
sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say my memory of this, Jim, if you don't mind, was I was totally into Highway to Hell, and I remember hearing that the singer passed, and I remember vividly thinking, guys, they just effing made it big time. I mean, we heard the other tunes from before, but they just broke it,
Mhm.
and he passed. So when this came out, it was like, it's like, my gosh, they just ascended. Anyway, sorry, Jim. I'm sorry about that, but that's my feelings of this album. It's just like, oh man, they're gone. Oh man, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
And this comes out.
Well, yeah, and I remember thinking, how do you replace Bon Scott?
Right. He had such
You
a
know,
unique
How do
voice.
Very unique.
And
replace
energy.
Bon Scott? Nobody sounds like that.
Right.
No.
Even to this day, nobody sounds like that.
Nope.
No. And Bon was quite a bit older than the guys in the band.
Yeah, he
too.
was.
So he was almost like a father figure to him, and they were just devastated. They probably felt the same thing. What do we do?
I remember thinking
they-
that. Yeah.
Jumped right back in, and I think our last episode I said they had music already written, but what it was is Bon Scott already had lyrics written, and they brought in Brian and decided not to use any of Bon Scott's lyrics in show of respect to him. And it makes you wonder what kind of an album it would have been had they used Bon's lyrics.
Wow.
But yeah,
Success story. Yeah.
my only dig on AC/DC is Brian Johnson's voice. It was awesome on that first album. He had a certain tone in the raspiness.
Yeah.
And then as each album went on, the tone went away and the raspiness was amplified.
Mm-hmm.
And it became too tedious for me to enjoy. And so each album, it's like, okay, he's not even singing now. He's just wheezing at this point. So, so that first album, like you say, we were talking earlier before we started. If you put the headphones on and you listen, you can hear the pick hitting the string before they strum the chord. It was so, like you said, Jim, so sonically well produced and recorded. It's a loud album, but it's the quietest loud album you'll ever hear. Because
Playing.
yeah, and just flawless from beginning to end. You guys out there in Conspiracy Land, you have a favorite track? Let us know.
Lay
You
it
have
on
one you
us.
don't like? You disagree with us? Let us know. We'll find you. We'll hunt you down. We don't care.
There's a great quote I'm looking at right now on Wikipedia. It says Lang's production for the album had an enduring impact in the music industry. To this day, producers still use it as the de facto paint-by-numbers guidebook for how a hard rock record should sound.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I can't disagree with that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
No. Good stuff.
Yeah. No.
So let me ask you guys one question, because there was a little bit of sort of controversy when the record came out. You know, Bon Scott died after a night of heavy drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard several different versions of what actually happened. Some people say he choked on his own vomit. I had heard at one point that what actually happened was he crawled into the backseat of his car because he wasn't able to drive, and died of hypothermia because it was just too cold. And
that's
so
the one I heard.
I don't know what the exact reason is, but you know, the band came back on that album and had a song called "Have a Drink on Me."
Drink on me. It was a toast to Bon.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Is that bad taste?
I don't know. You know, for a guy who went out after a hard night of drinking, people kind of question that.
Okay.
I thought about that. I never really thought about it.
I never thought about it. No.
I'll tell you what. Number one, he wasn't a man of the cloth. He was a rock and roller.
Yeah.
If you think that a song like that would bother someone like Bon Scott,
He's probably
he's thinking, that's right, lads, you did it right.
That's it.
Yep, you paid tribute to me the best way you could. He went out just like, you know, he probably wanted to.
Like a lot of them have. Yeah.
So, no, I don't think it's a knock at all. Again, we live in a politically correct time, but I think that was an ultimate salute to him.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, Jim. I'll re-listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I never attributed that to Bon. I never did.
Oh, I remember the
I like
backlash
that.
when that came out.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah, people said like, well, you know, it's kind of in bad taste or whatever else. I don't think Bon would have cared one way or the other.
Nah.
But see,
I think Frank hit that kind of right on the head.
Yeah.
yeah, he was a rock and roller. But you know what? A lot of people were already after AC/DC. Anyways, look at the album cover to Highway to Hell.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh, I remember that.
Angus has his tail holding it like a phallic symbol.
Horns coming out of his hat.
Oh, evil. What do you mean Highway to Hell? Why are you sending our children to hell? You know, come on, it's music, people. So,
That's right. I forgot about that.
So they were already after them, the PMRC and all that garbage. So
Wow. That's right. PMRC. My gosh.
yeah.
Tipper
So-
Gore. Oh boy,
Yeah.
that's going way back machine.
Now, how do you guys feel about the albums after Back in Black? 'Cause I think we all agree, a stellar album. Did any of them after that hold up to that album, in your
No.
opinion?
No, and you know, one of the criticisms of AC/DC is, you know, they've been making the same album for 40 years, right? And there's a handful of people who do that. You know,
They only know three chords.
The Ramones release the same album over and over again.
Yeah.
Joan Jett does it.
Sure.
You know, AC/DC. You know, when you buy it, you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
I don't think anything lived up to that album.
No.
My
There was
only-
always a handful of good tracks on each album, but overall,
Well,
I don't think so.
No, everything kind of was pale in comparison, and even after when Malcolm was gone, and they had, I think Stevie was brought in, one of the cousins or somebody. There was no bite to the band at all. Everything, the whole dynamic changed with the rhythm guitarist, which you wouldn't think would be
you wouldn't
so
think that.
profound, but
Yeah.
it's just not the same.
Big part of the sound,
Yeah.
Yes.
you know.
So, quick question: how do you guys feel about Axl Rose filling in when they kind of kick Brian to the curb because of his hearing issues?
Well, my first take was they're not going to put up with this guy's antics. It's good. They're going to be like grabbing.
They're
him by
old-
the
they're old
shoulder.
school,
Look,
yeah.
dude, you're getting out on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing you into this. We're waiting around 2 hours. We live up to our contract. You get out there.
But you know what?
I was kind of hoping somebody would knock him out.
You know, he didn't pull any shenanigans because he's a huge AC/DC fan, and he thought it was an honor for them to
good
play
for
with him.
Good.
As he should feel that
Heck
way.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's where it started, bro.
For a psych case that Axl Rose is known to be, I watched an awful lot of the concert footage and everything, and I read an awful lot of comments of people bad-mouthing him and how dare he and everything else. He did a good job. He didn't improvise. He played the songs. He was true to the music, and
I really couldn't bring myself to watch.
I ask you to go back and check it out. You will not be disappointed.
I will, based on your recommendation.
Yep.
And if you don't like Axl, you don't like him anyways. Doesn't matter who he plays with, what he does. You're not going to like him. I sat at a Guns N' Roses concert. Guns N' Roses, can't speak, but it's not the alcohol. Guns N' Roses concert years ago. One shot. Skid Row opened up, and then we waited 2.5 hours for Axl to show up at the Forum.
Oh my gosh!
And
that's unacceptable.
Yeah, completely. So the opening, Skid Row played their set.
They played their 45-minute set, and they said,
and you're just waiting.
There's no announcements. There's no nothing. You just sit there and you wait. And, you know, Axl was already knee-deep in doing this kind of BS anyway, so people expected. L.A. Forum, you get out in Los Angeles at 3 o'clock in the morning, you just want to get home. You want to get home in one piece, you know?
Fast as you can.
Yeah, but you're not going to leave early because once that show starts, they put on a heck of a show. So
when they finish?
They finished about 2 o'clock. 2 in the morning.
Yeah, but I'm saying when they finish.
When they finish, yeah.
That guy could storm off the stage at any moment.
You know, no meltdowns once he got
3 songs in, done.
Yeah. Somebody's looking at him funny. In the audience.
No meltdowns.
Somebody's looking at him funny. Yeah.
But that's another band for another time. But AC/DC, Back in Black, sweet.
Good stuff, Jim.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good pick. You're going to pick the next one, Jerry. What's on your mind?
Guys, are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's the debut of Fastway. July of '83. So we were already out of high school, and Fast Eddie Clark, Pete Way, and forgive me, I can never remember the singer's name. He's in with
Dave King.
Dave King, correct. Thank
Flogging
you so
Molly.
much. But that's it, Flogging Molly. That's the one where he's at now. But I just remember that debut. Of course, the album cover is the best. That checkered Vans. I love it.
Yeah.
But I remember just putting that album on, and just the fat rock and roll just grabs a hold of you right away. It's good stuff. So yeah, Fastway, the debut.
That's a good one. Let me tell you right now. I remember when Easy Living, they did a video and it was on MTV, and I'd never seen them at that point, and I just heard this guy that sounds so much like Robert Plant.
Yes, he does.
Fast Eddie Clark rocking and rolling, and then the video comes on. I'm like, oh, he's a ginger. He was just so wimpy looking. Dave King was like the least rock and roll looking guy you would ever see. He was like 17, 18 years old. And he's playing.
Yeah, he was just a pup.
He was a kid. Yeah.
Here's Fast Eddie Clark, who's been with Motorhead all these years and everything,
and looks like he spent time in Motorhead.
Yes.
Right. Boy.
Yeah, but Dave King, his appearance never impressed me whatsoever as a rock and roller. I think he fits in good with Flogging Molly.
Flogging Molly, way better. Yeah. Way better.
But
I don't know. I like both bands.
Yeah. Well, Fastway is a band. They put out the second album. I forget what it was called. Head Start or something.
All Fired Up.
All Fired Up.
Thank you, Jim, because I have the first two. Yeah.
It had a couple good songs on it. And then I bought the Trick or Treat soundtrack, and it had some rehashes from the first album on there. But good music, but they kind of disappeared after that.
Yeah, came and
but
went.
That first album. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. They continued to tour, I think, around different singer and kind of a different lineup. It was Eddie and some other guys.
Yeah, I know Pete Wade.
The way a lot of those bands end up, right?
Yeah.
Good point.
So, very good. Well, guys,
good choice, Jerry.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I like that. That is a good hard rocking album. And,
that is a good hard rocking album.
But
no
I'm
doubt.
sure I'll be able to pick it apart because there's.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we love you, Frank.
Heft automatically comes to my mind right now. And
yeah.
There's some few clunkers on there, but first 3 or 4 songs are just kicking butt all the way through.
Oh yeah.
You know, I haven't listened to it in a long time. Maybe last year I put it on.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to revisit it
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
see if it's kind of held up.
Yeah.
So I still have the love for it.
I was just listening to it last week, Jerry.
Oh, well done.
I charged up my iPod, which had died on me, so I charged it up and I was going through a bunch of. I have an 80 gig. I was so mad when Apple got rid of the iPods, so I had an 80 gig,
Wow.
iPod with all my music on there, and
Yeah.
somewhere along the line, though, one of my sons used my account, so I got some Britney Spears and I got some,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
some stuff.
Just throw the
Disney.
iPod away and start over.
Well, I do have a lot on my phone now.
You got some Spice Girls on there too?
Yeah, well, yes, yes, but I put it on there. Thank you very much.
What you put on the Spice
Yeah.
Girls?
Yeah, that's right. Girl power. So
Girl power. Spice Girls on our show. I love it.
Everybody needs to check out the Spice Pistols.
oh yes, Spice Pistols.
Oh, that
yes.
was hard to watch, Jim, because the junk mail in front was
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, well, I applaud their sense of humor.
Yep.
yeah, no, that's funny stuff. Yeah.
Who is that? I don't know his name. The clown that he sings so good.
Sings like an angel.
Yes.
Oh, and he does metal.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Puddles Pity Party.
Puddles. Yeah.
Puddles.
I was going through, I think it was on Instagram, and I saw his picture, and I go, "Ooh, this guy looks scary. What's he doing?" And he started singing, and the hair on my arm stood up.
From heaven.
This
Voice
guy
from
has got so much talent.
heaven.
Maybe we can get him on the show.
Puddles the clown. That would be
Puddles.
awesome. Yeah.
Come on, the
Puddles.
conspiracy.
Yeah.
Tell us your story.
Good stuff. Yep.
Stuff.
All right, guys, like, share, smash the like button. Tell
Subscribe.
your friends, subscribe.
Notification bell.
I'm not too proud to beg. you
No,
know.
we're not. No. No. Instagram, YouTube.
Huge thanks to the Revies, Suzi Quatro, and the Brutalists. Thank you so much for letting us use your music.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you,
Great
everybody.
stuff from all three bands.
Yes. Yes.
Now, if we can get these three bands to like, share, and subscribe, maybe we can piggyback on some of their fans as well. So
Yeah. Can you imagine if Suzi Quatro shared, Jim? Oh man,
I know.
we'd be set.
Suzi, come on the show.
That's it.
Jim needs to do an interview with you.
That would
Mhm.
be- I would love to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, because Frank and I will just ogle, so it's got to be Jim. Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
somewhere I've got a Arthur Fonzarelli doll I can do.
There you go. Hey.
yeah, back in the late 70s and early 80s, I used to kind of profess my love for Suzi Quatro to people, and they'd be all, Suzi Quatro?
Yeah.
Isn't that leather Tuscadero guy? She only did
Yeah.
Stumbling In? Really? Like her? It's like,
There's
no,
so much
you
more
gotta
to
hear,
that.
you gotta hear the rest of her stuff, you know? She rocks hard.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that, Jim. My bad. I was like, from Happy Days, right?
That's
Stumbling
all
in?
right.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Uh.
I don't mind being the outcast.
No. We're all in a group.
All right. Hey, also a note, we're looking at maybe doing some more merchandise. We'll see how that pans out. What we're going to do is going to have a little, I don't know if it's a contest or what, but we're going to come up with some designs for some new T-shirts. We're going to have our fans and subscribers give us their input. We'll have 3 designs. They can choose which they think is the best. Which one would you proudly want to wear on a T-shirt type deal? And we'll heavily consider whatever the fans like.
Yes.
Sound like a deal?
Indeed. Yep.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Well, if you don't have anything else this week, I guess.
Shop is closed.
Shop is
Keep
closed.
rocking, folks.
All right. Good night.
Night.